A girl with crimson hair and striking beauty confronts Roselia and demands to know the whereabouts of Leo. Despite Roselia's fear, she stands firm and challenges the girl, who reveals herself to be Vera Greater Dragon, the Dragon Lord. Inside Leo's room, he angrily confronts Vera about how she is still alive and whether she was corrupted by the power of emptiness. Vera reveals that she discarded her body and took on a human form after being corrupted by the void miasma. Though she has lost most of her power, she follows Leo's magical wavelength to track him down and is fascinated by his new scent, unaware that it is due to his use of Roselia's shampoo. Vera Greater Dragon, the Dragon Lord, interrogates Leonis about his current appearance. Leonis explains that he reincarnated incorrectly, but Vera still teases him about his childlike appearance and behavior. Vera also admires Roselia, Leonis's vampire subordinate, and praises her loyalty. However, Vera suddenly attacks Leonis, claiming that he tried to turn her into a mindless skeleton dragon with the power of the voids. Leonis struggles to explain that the world has changed drastically since they were sealed, and Vera demands he tell her what happened. Leonis senses a shade of anxiety in the Dragon Lord's eyes. Roselia eavesdrops on Leonis and a red-haired girl's conversation, wondering if they are from the same ancient era. She also worries about a black stone fragment that the mysterious Nephekes placed in her heart during a fight. However, her thoughts are interrupted by a maid's report of a void bug attack. Regina informs Roselia of a large void hive discovered near the underground ruins where Leonis was found. The Academy is planning an extermination mission, and it's likely that Roselia's platoon will be called upon to participate. Meanwhile, Leonis explains to Vera about the voids and the integrated empire, while revealing that the goddess Roselia's reincarnated body has been corrupted by these unknown enemies. Leonis shares his knowledge about the voids and the integrated empire to Vera, who is overwhelmed by the information but understands quickly. They discuss Nephekes Rizad and his possible involvement in the resurrection of the Holy Woman and Vera herself. Leonis worries about the possibility of Azra Aiel, the devil of the underworld, being restored and seeks to thwart the mastermind behind the recent incidents. Vera wants to explore the city, and Leonis begrudgingly agrees to accompany her. Meanwhile, Elphine and Clavia discuss a dragon-class Void Lord that disappeared after awakening from an ice block. Elphine suspects it is a Dark Lord, similar to previous Void Lords encountered. Clavia Fillet, a witch and Elphine's sister, offers her a small memory device containing data on the Fillet Company and the D Project, a mission to create a power equal to the Holy Swords. Elphine learns that many of the Holy Swordsmen involved with the project had died or became unstable and violent, and someone new took over the division working on this and has been continuing the experiments somewhere else. Musel Rhodes, the previous wielder of a holy sword, lost his power and seeks revenge against Roselia Crystallia and the boy who defeated him. As Musel seethes with hatred, a goddess's voice speaks to him, asking if he seeks the power to make his wish a reality. The Central Garden was the hub of the 7th Assault Garden, where Excalibur Academy was located. It had everything students needed, from leisure facilities to commercial centers. Despite the recent storm, the sky was clear, and among the bustling crowds of students, Vera, the cause of the recent chaos, sauntered along with confidence. Leonis, her companion, asked her to hide her horns, but Vera refused, reveling in her dragon pride. They strolled past buildings being towed away after being destroyed by the previous day's storm. With the 7th Assault Garden's swift response, most buildings were unscathed. The 6th Assault Garden, which was stationed with the 7th, suffered the most damage. Leonis and Vera discussed the advances in technological magic in the city, but acknowledged the decline of sorcery. They also mentioned the Assault Garden's ability to move over the ocean. Vera boasts about her azure hold, but Leonis reminds her that it was destroyed. As they are talking, 3 Excalibur Academy students hit on Vera, but she frightens them off with a small display of her power. Meanwhile, Roselia and Regina follow after Leonis and Vera, and eventually catch up to them in the Old Town section of the 7th Assault Garden. Sakuya Sieglinde from Sakura Orchid took her stray dog, Blackers, for a walk in the old town of the 7th Assault Garden. She stumbled upon an impressive mansion with abundant greenery and entered through the biometric authentication system gate. Two ninja-like girls sprung out with katanas, but Sakuya swiftly defeated them with her holy sword. The old white-haired man, Ryu, who had trained her in swordsmanship, appeared and praised her improvement. Sakuya asked if she could keep Blackers in the estate, a question that left Ryu with a strange impression of the animal's dignity. He concluded that the dog was a born king. Sakuya, having trust in Ryu's opinion, agreed that no one could ever hope to own such a regal creature. Sakuya confides in Ryu and reveals that people with the same power as her, demon swords, are starting to appear. She obtained her demon sword after her family and homeland were destroyed by Shardark Void Lord. Meanwhile, Elfine meets with Liat and learns of holy swords going out of control at the academy. They speculate about a possible mental shock from witnessing Stampede or after effects of a void attack. Students losing control of their holy swords spoke of hearing a goddess's voice. Elfine plans to investigate further and uncover any connections with the Fillet Company and the D Project. Vera and Leonis enter the 7th Assault Garden's commercial complex, boasting numerous recreational activities. Vera shows interest in a measuring instrument that gauges strength, arcade, casino, and lizards in the zoo. They are called to by a fortune teller who offers to check their affinity for one another through her holy sword using the horoscope technique. It reveals they are eternal nemeses bound to fight to the death. Despite their amazement, Leonis inwardly reflects that it is unsurprising given their violent past. Vera and Leonis visit a fortune teller who reveals that they are eternal nemeses bound to fight to the death and offers hope for a romance to blossom between them. Vera questions the star's alignment and the strange star of Calamity, causing Leonis to remember the ill omen and the incident on the Hyperion. Meanwhile, Elfine investigates the mass-produced artificial elemental called Seraphim, which caused 8 students to lose control of their holy swords. She focuses her consciousness on Eye of the Witch Orbs to locate holy swords that are mutating and discovers that Muzel Rhodes' mind-controlling holy sword, Dominion, has returned, ordering his puppet army to find Vera and Leonis. The two Dark Lords, Vera and Leonis, reach the highest spot in the central garden and enjoy a view of the Excalibur Academy's tower and the 7th Assault Garden. Leonis comments on the dragon's preference for high places, to which Vera responds that the undead feels most at home below the ground. The two bicker over the destruction they caused, and Vera spots a glass-covered pool nearby where a group is playing with water guns. She drags Leonis along to join the water gun battle. Meanwhile, 2 girls, Roselia and Regina, watch the two from the shadows and discuss whether their outing is a date or not. Roselia becomes overprotective of Leonis and worries about his safety in the pool. They decide to challenge Vera and win back Leonis in a fair water gun battle. Leonis quickly changed into his swimsuit summoned from the realm of shadows, joining the crowd watching the water gun match. Despite the recent chaos and damage from past attacks, the people still found a way to enjoy themselves. Leonis admired their stubborn sense of pride and determination to survive. Vera finally arrived in a black bikini, catching Leonis off guard. She taunted him before attempting to choke him, but Roselia and Regina came to his rescue. Roselia challenged Vera to a match, with the stakes being Leonis's freedom. Vera and Roselia prepare for their match, with Vera challenging all 3 of them at once. Despite Leonis's reservations, Roselia accepts the challenge and they register for the match. Regina teaches Leonis how to use a water gun, a form of ranged weapon modelled after holy swords. The match begins, and Roselia takes the lead with her vampire queen strength, while Vera relies on brute force. As the battle rages on, Roselia and her team aim to knock their opponents off their floating boards without directly touching them. The fight intensifies with Vera using her dragon power and Roselia relying on her agile jumps. The match reaches a climax as the 2 Dark Lords face off against each other. Vera and Roselia engage in a water gun match, with Vera challenging them all at once. Roselia takes the lead with her vampire queen strength, while Vera relies on brute force. Regina teaches Leonis how to use a water gun. The match intensifies as the two Dark Lords face off against each other. However, their match is interrupted by Muzel Rhodes, who wields a holy sword that can control people. Leonis stops Vera from attacking and reminds her to abide by his rules in his kingdom. Vera and her friends are caught up in a chaotic situation when Muzel Rhodes, a man wielding a holy sword that can control people, begins to use civilians as his pawns. Roselia and Regina step up to face him, but his holy sword starts to go out of control and develops mind-boggling power. However, Roselia stands her ground and takes him down after an intense battle. Muzel is found to have been contaminated with a demon sword and is taken to the Academy's hospital ward. Meanwhile, Vera and the Dark Lords watch over the situation from afar. In the otherworldly castle, Zemain and Nephekes discuss their plan to revive the Dark Lords. Zemain shows off an artificial elemental named Seraphim that can help produce demon swords. He also reveals that he has a plan to gather the holy swords needed for the ritual, involving a human city near the sleeping Leonis Death Magnus. Nephekes orders Setsura, a Sakura Orchid member, to accompany Zemain on his mission, insisting that one can never be too careful. The two continue to plot their next moves in secret. Elfine woke up feeling drained and fatigued after a troubling incident the day before. She prepared for an emergency meeting with her platoon and checked the latest news, discovering the aftermath of the incident. A demon sword had caused chaos, and the Academy suppressed the news to avoid panic. Elfine also learned of voids being discovered, leading to a discussion with Roselia about the mysterious powers of holy swords and demon swords. Meanwhile, Leonis spoke with Vera about his dislike of mornings and the limitations of his powers due to his environment. Roselia, the vampire queen and highest rank of Undead, reveals her love for the morning sun to Leonis, who finds it strange since Undead are not supposed to like daylight. Meanwhile, Leonis meets with Vera, the Dragon Lord, and talks about his plans to dominate human lands. Vera, on the other hand, intends to search for the Azure Hold to access its astronomical observation devices to examine the changes in the heavens in the last 1,000 years, but also to mourn the dragon warriors she once fought with. Vera warns Leonis about voids and reveals her dragon form before departing. Sherry, Leonis's maid, meets with him and shows him the new outfit she got in a self-governing area of the 7th Assault Garden, which somewhat resembles Sakuya's modified uniform. Sherry, Leonis's loyal maid, brings him a gift of sweet dango in hopes of pleasing him. However, as Leonis takes a bite, it becomes stuck in his throat. Fortunately, Sherry offers him some tea to wash it down, and they continue their conversation. A black wolf named Blackers emerges from Leonis's shadow and informs him of the unique abilities possessed by the people of the Sakura Orchid, and suggests that they may hold the key to uncovering the erased history of the Dark Lords and 6 heroes. Excited by this news, Leonis expresses his interest in forming an alliance with the Sakura Orchid. Leonis instructs Blackers to continue research and recruit potential soldiers for the Dark Lord's armies. Roselia calls Leonis to a meeting and Regina prepares breakfast. The platoon discusses an extermination mission to destroy a force of dormant voids headed by Liat Guinness. Elfine insists on participating to regain her sense for combat and restore her Eye of the Witch's full abilities. Leonis plans to destroy the voids, infesting his stronghold at Necrozoa. Elfine's holy sword had lost its true power after 2 of her comrades died investigating a void hive. Despite spending every waking moment fighting voids to evolve his holy sword and gain more power, Leonis felt regret for not protecting his platoon. However, one day, the goddess started speaking to him, and he heard a voice in his head. As they prepare to set out, Leonis extinguishes the black flames in his palm and rises to his feet. Meanwhile, Elfine will accompany them on their mission to regain her sense for combat and restore her Eye of the Witch's full abilities. A team of soldiers drives toward the Forest of Death, where they plan to destroy the Void Hive. The journey is bumpy and uncomfortable, with the soldiers bantering and teasing each other along the way. As they approach the hive, they become aware of strange circumstances surrounding their unit. Meanwhile, deep within the forest, an old man and a masked girl are preparing for a ritual with the sacrificial demon swords. They intend to awaken the undead king and use his power for their own ends. As they enter the Forest of Death, Leonis and his team split up and begin their search for the Void Hive. The atmosphere is eerie and unsettling, with a thick miasma hanging over them. Despite the silent woods, they continue on with the help of Elfine's Eye of the Witch Orb. As they journey for 2 hours, they come across a mossy lake with a decaying sculpture, signaling that they may be getting closer to their destination. Meanwhile, Leonis contemplates raiding the Chimera laboratory, hoping to use its research to rebuild the Dark Lord's armies with new monsters. Leonis and his team stumble upon a mysterious statue while journeying through the Forest of Death. The statue appears evil and greatly unsettles the group. Leonis recognizes it as the statue of the Undead King, a sculpture he had created and which went down in legend. The group decides to set up camp near a mossy lake, and Elfine analyzes the water for drinkability. Roselia becomes engrossed in deciphering the inscription on the statue. Regina offers to smash the statue, but risks angering the rest of the group, who view it as a valuable ancient relic. The team sets up collapsible cottages and hangs mana crystal lanterns for light. Elfine records data on the strange mana pattern surrounding the fallen statue, and the team hopes to uncover the mystery of why the voids form in ancient ruins through their research. As they settle in for the night, Leonis contemplates the situation in Necrozoa while searching for useful bones. Elfine sends her Eye of the Witch to explore the lake and discovers a moss-covered staircase leading to an unexpected structure. But suddenly, she is attacked by a medium-sized void, which destroys her Eye of the Witch and leaves her in agony. Leonis rushes to her aid and destroys the void with his immense power, but their discovery only leads to more questions about the vast underground structure in the Forest of Death. As they tend to Elfine's wounds, Leonis learns that her fear of the voids stems from a previous tragedy, and they both contemplate the mysteries that lie ahead. Elfine has been running away from her fears, but by going on a mission with the group, she hopes to find the right kind of strength. Leonis helps her overcome her fears by using a gravity control spell, and Elfine's power is restored. Meanwhile, Roselia is studying an ancient book and deciphering a mysterious language. She discovers her name on a half-sunken sculpture and starts to feel anxious. Regina brings dinner to the group and mentions that Leonis went outside. Roselia realizes she needs to pay more attention to her surroundings. Leonis returned to camp to the smell of delicious spices and was greeted by Roselia, who scolded him for worrying her. Elfine explained that Leonis saved her from a void and had a minor injury. Roselia was quick to tend to her wound, while Leonis asked her about her progress decoding carvings. He thought about how revealing the true ruler of Necrozoa would be if she succeeded. Regina offered Leonis a bowl of soup, and he reluctantly accepted. He found the taste revitalizing and complimented Regina's seasoning, but protested when Roselia tried to feed him, claiming he was not a bird. Elfine reports to Liat that there are small groups around the hive. If attacked carelessly, the voids would surround them, but it's only a theory as the Regal platoon hasn't encountered any other groups. Liat decides to have the 5th platoon patrol the area and asks Elfine about her injured leg, which she assures will be treated later. Leonis, who had defeated a medium-sized void, is praised by Liat, though Elfine knows he is concealing his true power. After dinner, the group discusses finding a bathing spot, but Elfine can only find a tiny pool. Leonis then creates a makeshift bath using his staff of sealed sins and the pool. Leonis takes a relaxing bath in his kingdom, enjoying the revitalizing feeling. Roselia joins him and, as a vampire queen, cannot resist the temptation to drink his blood. However, she becomes concerned when she senses that Leonis is keeping secrets from her. Meanwhile, Liat's 5th platoon encounters a mysterious ancient structure and are attacked by their own captain, who seems possessed by a strange force. The situation becomes dire as the captain's powers cause chaos and destruction. Returning to camp, Leonis and Riselia sense a disturbance and discover that 2 platoons are missing. Elphine explains that the eye of the witch orb was destroyed and there's no contact with the platoons. Suddenly, the ground begins to rumble and a gigantic black pyramid appears in the forest. Leonis recognizes it as the goddess of rebellion's shrine and is filled with rage at the sacrilege. Riselia quickly divides the Excalibur Academy students into groups to search for the platoons, and Sakuya insists on going alone. The survivor of Sakura Orchid quickly takes off while Zemain intrudes upon the sacred space of the shrine. Zemain held a broken fragment of the goddess, similar in shape to the Black Pyramid. The shard triggered the goddess temple, allowing Roselia Ishtaris to transmit prophecies of the future. The voice of the goddess of rebellion spread throughout the forest, inciting the demon swordsmen to become sacrifices for the revival of the undead king. Rosalia's bloody sword sliced through the forest, while Leonis and Elphine searched for Liat's missing platoon. They stumbled upon Delsea, who was injured, and revealed that Liat's holy sword had gone out of control, turning him into a void-like creature. Roselia and Elphine suspected a correlation with the demon swords, which had granted power through a goddess's voice. As Leonis followed his intuition to investigate the pyramid, Sakuya raced towards Regil's platoon, detecting the presence of voids. Sakuya encounters holy swordsmen from the 21st platoon, mutated into demonic forms with their holy swords. She fights them with her own sword, Raikirimaru, and unleashes a powerful magic spell, Yamichidori, to defeat them. Meanwhile, Leonis attempts to gain entrance to the goddess temple, but is blocked by its defense mechanisms. He uses his Staff of Sealed Sins to cause massive explosions, which reveal the core of the Void Hive, where countless voids lie dormant. As Leonis searches for the one who activated the temple, Elphine and Riselia are surprised by a shaft of radiance that emanates from the temple's zenith. Riselia cannot leave to find Leonis, as she must stay to help heal Delsea. Riselia and Elphine face off against Liat, a once-ace holy swordsman, but now corrupted by the demon sword. Meanwhile, Leonis finds himself trapped by Zemain, a dark staff officer. Zemain plans to use the Void Hive to resurrect the undead king, but Leonis refuses to be a sacrifice. In a surprising turn of events, Leonis easily defeats Zemain and demands answers about the Void Hive. The truth behind Liat's corruption is revealed as he sought power to protect his comrades, but instead became dangerous. With danger lurking everywhere, can the group survive and stop the Void Hive's awakening? The broadsword swings down. Roselia uses the bloody sword to defend herself and jumps away from the explosion. Liat's holy sword has more power than expected since it consumed his partner's holy swords. Roselia remembers the holy sword data of other platoons in order to win the training match. The flaming broadsword is coming towards her, but she dodges it. Roselia nicked her arm with her blade and manifested a crimson dress over her body. There is a notable difference in sword fighting skills between Roselia and Liat. Roselia donned the powerful True Ancestor's dress, but it drained her magical energy. She engaged in battle with Liat, using her blood chain and sword to disarm him. However, Zemain attacked with his demon swords, but Leonis effortlessly defeated him with his dark magic. Leonis revealed himself as the undead king and unleashed his powerful Melziora spell, defeating Zemain. In the aftermath of a massive explosion, the group faces a horde of void creatures. Roselia and Elphine stand ready to fight, their resolve strengthened by the battle they have already faced. But their mission is complicated by the presence of Liat, who has been consumed by the power of the demon sword. Elphine is determined to help him, even as she must face the demons that surround her. As they fight their way through the masses of voids, they come to realize that they are not alone in their struggle. With the help of Cilicia and their companions, they may just have a chance to survive, but as the fight continues, they must also confront the harsh reality of their own limitations and the cost of their actions. Only by working together can they hope to overcome their enemies and find a way to escape the cavern alive. Liat urges Elphinée to leave him behind and rescue the 5th platoon. Despite being reluctant to leave him, Elphinée uses her power to slice through the voids and successfully rescue the platoon. Meanwhile, Leonis faces off against Zameen, who has become a Void Lord. With the help of his assassin maid, Shari, Leonis manages to defeat Zameen and learns about his plans to resurrect the Dark Lords and 6 heroes to bring about the goddess's prophecy. As Leonis demands answers, Zameen begs for mercy, but Leonis presses on with his interrogation. Leonis interrogates Zameen about the prophecy and learns that they serve someone else, not Azrael. Suddenly, a blue-haired girl wearing a white mask appears and interferes with the questioning. Leonis chases after her, but she vanishes into a fissure. Sherry suggests the black triangular fragment of stone left behind could be a mana crystal, but Leonis dismisses the idea. Overwhelmed by the backlash from using the demon sword, he falls asleep on the stone floor of the cavern, while Sherry offers her lap as a pillow. In the epilogue, a young woman with black hair offers a hand to a boy who had just risen from death. He realizes he has gained an undead body, but feels it is not quite real yet. The boy had been called a hero until the kingdom he protected betrayed him by taking everything from him, even killing him. The young woman, Rosalia Ishtaris, appeared to him and made him into a Dark Lord, an enemy to the world. Even so, Rosalia promised to always be by his side. Leonis wakes up to find himself lying on Rosalia's lap inside a military vehicle. They are on their way back to the 7th Assault Garden after successfully eliminating the Void Hive. Liat Guinness's punishment for his actions will not be lenient, even though he was in a state of temporary insanity due to the demon sword. Elphinée suspects that her father may be involved in the demon sword project and wonders what her family is hoping to achieve. Meanwhile, Leonis returns to his room to find Blackus and shares with him the events that occurred in Necrozoa. He tells Blackus how the enemy is laboring to fulfill a prophecy left behind by the goddess, but since no such prediction exists, he must be considered an irregularity. Before he can ponder further, Rosalia knocks on his door and asks for a moment alone with him. After reporting the successful elimination of the Void Hive, Leonis finds himself questioned by Rosalia about his role in its destruction. Admitting to using Dainslife, Leonis is stunned when Rosalia reveals that she has deciphered part of the inscription from the statue they found. The message reads, "The Great King of the Undead Kingdom, Leonis Death Magnus." Shocked and confused, Leonis is left wondering about his true identity.